viewing the total solar eclipse of 2017 with the Smoky Mountain Astronomical Society. An eclipse is a general term for when something covers the view to something else. You can find a Bonnie Tyler song with another application of the word eclipse, but that's not the kind we're talking about. An eclipse can happen in the sky, and that's the kind we're talking about. There are several kinds of eclipses. They are named inconsistently. Sometimes they are named for the object doing the blocking, and sometimes the object blocked. We will talk about a few types with emphasis on the August 21st, 2017 total solar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is when light on the moon is blocked by the Earth. When this happens, the shadow is on the moon, and all persons on the Earth who can see the moon at that time can see the eclipse. The light normally reflected off the moon, which came from the sun, is blocked. The Earth on which we live is doing the blocking of the light normally falling on the moon. This is not the kind of eclipse that we are having on August 21st, 2017. A solar eclipse is when light from the sun is blocked by the moon. When this happens, the shadow is on the Earth, only a small portion of the Earth. For the 2017 eclipse, the shadow is about 70 miles in diameter. Only the persons within the shadow on the Earth experience this total solar eclipse. The light normally coming directly from the sun to the Earth is blocked by the moon. From the moon, the eclipsed Earth is big and bright with a small black shadow moving across it. If you are in the center of the shadow, you get a total solar eclipse. This is the kind of eclipse that we're having in parts of Tennessee, but not in Knoxville and not in Chattanooga. They only get a partial eclipse. Only with safe eclipse glasses or very dark arc welding glasses can you look at the sun. Do not take chances. Buy some eclipse glasses now while you can still get them shipped in time. If not, borrow someone else's glasses or build a pinhole projection system. Go online and search for pinhole or solar projection viewing. The partial phase of the eclipse totals about 3 hours long, with totality only about 2.5 minutes at the very center of that time. And that's only if you are near the center line of totality. During totality, and only during totality, is it safe to look up at the eclipsed sun. What you're actually seeing is the near side of the moon. Never look at any portion of the surface of the sun naked eye. That means, the sun on a normal day or any part of the sun during the partial phase of the eclipse. Of course, you want to look at the sun during total eclipse. That's the whole point. Where to observe? Weather permitting, some members of the Smoky Mountain Astronomical Society will be observing from Tellico Plains, Tennessee. If weather goes bad, some of us will drive to Nebraska or Charleston, South Carolina, or wherever. Why Tellico Plains? Because it is at the entrance to the Cherahalla Skyway, our dark sky observing site, so we think of it as home. The people of Tellico Plains have some accommodations, restrooms and parking lot for a fee in a large field behind the Visitor Center and Charles Hall Museum. We can accommodate some small groups for presentations before and during the partial phase of the eclipse. As totality passes over us, we may see the shadow edge of totality on the hills and the mountains around us. This is the Tellico Plains observing site. What to bring observing day? Well, eclipse glasses, of course, but also lawn chairs, some sunshade like an umbrella, some sunscreen, get something to drink, and most important, bring a good attitude. Remember, we are guests wherever we go, and the people and businesses there are incurring expenses to accommodate us. Let's talk about the timing of the parts of the eclipse. First contact is when the moon just becomes tangent to the sun, something you cannot actually see. It is the beginning of the partial phase. As totality approaches, an hour and a half later, only the low-lying valleys on the moon's edge allow sunlight through, forming bright spots of light called Bailey's beads. These last just a moment. The last of the sunlight streaming through the moon's valleys create a single bright flash of light on the side of the moon. This is known as the diamond ring effect, and it marks the last few seconds before totality begins. Once the diamond ring disappears, the moon totally covers the sun. This is called second contact. Now you can take off your eclipse glasses. Be sure to put your glasses back on before the end of totality. The signal will be a thin crescent of sunlight appearing opposite the location of the Bailey's beads. This is third contact and the return of the surface of the sun to direct viewing. You must resume using eye protection, but for about 2.5 minutes you'll have seen something amazing. Between third contact and fourth contact, the end of the eclipse, it is a reverse of what happened prior to totality. The surface of the sun that you can see will gradually increase. Wearing eye protection, sketch this in regular intervals like 10 minutes and make careful notes of the proportions and the time. In Tellico Plains or any other place near the center line of the eclipse, for about 2.5 minutes, the sky goes totally dark. You will see the sun's corona or its outer atmosphere. And if you look all around, the horizon is something like but different than a circular sunset. About 35 miles away, there's still direct sunlight going through the Earth's atmosphere, creating blue sky. And off in the distance, that is what you are seeing. As you look at the sky, the eclipsed sun, surrounded by its corona, is right in Leo the Lion, a reverse question mark of stars. To the right, about halfway to the western horizon, is the bright planet Venus. Further to the right, setting, like it was back in April, is the constellation of Orion. Just slightly to the right of the sun, you may be able to see Mars. However, it may be lost in the corona. To the lower left of the sun is Mercury. Once again, it may be lost in the corona. Way to the left, that's the east, is the bright planet Jupiter. So, overhead you're seeing the moon. The sun is eclipsed, and you're seeing several planets in a sky in the middle of the day. This is the amazing sight that is a total solar eclipse. Let's make this big and review again. The eclipse is in Leo the Lion. See the mane and the body of the lion? From the east to the west, Libra, then Virgo with Jupiter, then Leo with the sun and moon, Mercury to the lower left of the sun, Mars and Venus to the right, then Cancer and Gemini. Below Gemini is Orion, many of you know or will recognize as a winter constellation. If you're viewing this video before the eclipse and you have time, you can make a solar projection paddle, a fun project for kids of all ages. There may be some at the Visitor Center and Museum if they haven't run out, or you can find it on our Facebook page, the Smoky Mountain Astronomical Society. Look for the images section and you can find it there, print it out full screen, and follow the directions included. A total solar eclipse here in East Tennessee is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but in 7 years there will be totality again to our west, but you'll have to drive 400 or 500 miles to see it. I urge you to do it then. But you can also do amateur astronomy right here in East Tennessee. We are members of an astronomy club. We have star parties. We can answer that age-old question, what kind of telescope should I buy? And the initial answer is, don't. Look through other person's telescopes first. Later, the answer will change. It is our hope that everyone is inspired by the total solar eclipse, but especially youngsters. Perhaps some of you can become professional scientists. Study well what your math and science teachers have for you in class, and go beyond. Get books from the library. I would recommend one in particular about the history of astronomy by Timothy Ferris, Coming of Age in the Milky Way. It is an overview of the history of how astronomy discovered the universe around us. Alright, it's time for some review. Everyone repeat after me. I will not look at the surface of the sun naked eye. I will warn others, especially young people, not to do so. If I can by some means, I will observe the eclipse of August 21st, 2017.